So now let's get started. So hello everyone, this is Nurhan Smirki, the English gamer once again, and welcome to IELTS Talks podcast. This is a new episode with a guest from Jordan. Let's say, for example, first of all, of course, as you know, on IELTS Talks podcast, we have guests from different countries from all around the world. We have IELTS trainers, IELTS teacher trainers, and even IELTS candidates with the band score of 7+. And today we have a very special guest from Jordan. He is an IELTS trainer with a very good experience. And now let me just share some information about him. So today we have Mr. Mohammad Abu Jamous from Jordan, and he's a PhD candidate in TOEFL. Also, he's a university lecturer at many universities, including Jordanian and 2 Saudi ones. He's a teacher trainer, and he's an IELTS trainer since 2006. So welcome, Mr. Mohammad.
Thank you so much, Nurhan. It's my pleasure to appear on your page talking about IELTS and a very important issue that is related to writing in academic IELTS, of course.
Yeah, sure. So today we are going to talk about writing in academic tests, okay? And first of all, let's say we're going to ask Mr. Mohammad some questions, okay? Of course, you have to be ready to answer all of them, okay? Are you ready? Okay, so let's have my first question about writing. So what are the challenges that the candidates may face in the academic IELTS in the writing section?
Thank you so much. Initially, as you know, writing is a very important skill in languages in general. And when it comes to academic IELTS, it is really problematic because of so many reasons. But before we talk about the reasons, let's explain what challenges, what problems candidates all over the world might face. I believe that the first and the most important challenge that candidates suffer from is time management. You know, you have almost an hour to write 2 tasks. One of them is pictorial or numerical, and this necessitates, you know, lots of time spent on understanding the question. And that's why if students don't receive, you know, good exercising, practicing, and supervision from those who really know how to play it, then they're going to suffer when it comes to time. And sometimes they wouldn't be able to finish the tasks on time. So time factor is very important. Number 2, you know, communication in general, whether it's oral or written, depends on how much we understand. So now we're talking with each other. Now, if I understand your question, I would, you know, answer the question appropriately. But in case I misunderstand, this means that I will misanswer. And that's why students, candidates should, you know, practice and try to deal with so many questions and should really understand how the question like presents the ideas, how the question, you know, gives something specific that leads the students or the candidates towards a high grade or a lower grade. Something else is related to how they organize ideas. Excuse me, we're not talking about fragments. We're not talking about scattered sentences. At the end of the day, the product, the fruit should be well organized when it comes to like sequencing ideas, the relation between sentences, you know, when it comes to writing a paragraph, starting with the topic sentence, then supporting the topic sentence with the details, concluding this paragraph, and so on and so forth. So basically, building or writing a well-built, a well-said, a well-written, you know, text in general, because as you know, a text might be a sentence and might be a book, you know. So this matter of well-building, quote unquote, is very essential. And if it is the other way around, it affects the grade. Something else that really necessitates lots of readings and lots of, you know, questions directed to the trainers so as to check. I'm talking about here about lexical choices and the grammar. You know, sometimes words don't really fit in the context. You know, the context is really important. And that's why if these words are given in a wrong context, then this, you know, general idea or this general kind of presentation will be kind of like lacking something important. It won't be complete. So this contextualization is really, really important. Something else.
Yeah.
You know, coherence and cohesion, and these are very important issues when it comes to texts. Again, candidates should understand that their product, their written product, should not be scattered, should not be fragmented. These relations and interrelations between sentences should make it a unified whole. And to make our, you know, audience understand this, it should be logically arranged. It should be, you know, it should serve the same purpose, the same target. So again, we have a problem related to time management, a problem related to how we understand the task, something related to organizing ideas, grammar, and lexical choices. And again, coherence and cohesion are really important. Now, to be just very clear, all these aspects necessitate a good amount of training, a good time spent on these things, and a good trainer who knows how to do things. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed. So I guess now we
You're
have
welcome.
like a deep understanding of the challenges that the candidates may face. So now let's talk about how to overcome all of these challenges.
Thank you. You know, there is something technical, especially in, you know, programming, which is to know how.
Yeah.
And this means that, you know, candidates, whoever they are, need sometimes direct guidance from those who have the experience so as to, you know, prepare them not only to pass. As you know, there is no pass or fail in the exam. There is a score required by the institution, you know, the candidates is going to go to, or the country, if it is in case of you know, immigration. So there is no pass or fail.
Yeah.
Now, number one, there should be good practicing. Now, again, one hand can't clap, as we say in Arabic and in English. We have to have a collaboration between the trainers, the trainer, and the trainees. This collaboration means that the trainers provide the trainees with all they need, and the trainees do all they should do. This is the point. Number two, there is a very important issue that is related to the feedback. Now, the feedback received from the trainers should be taken into consideration literally, and it should be reflected on next exercises, meaning that the trainee should feel himself or herself that the situation is getting better because of this feedback. So this feedback is never to be neglected, but to be considered. Something else. We have to provide, you know, trainees with authentic samples that have been graded. And we have to provide them with comments from the examiners about these samples. So you, number one, teach the trainees, you guide them, you write like samples in their existence, in their presence, so as to show them how. You ask them to practice, then you take the samples, correcting them. You provide the trainees with feedback that is based on evidence, and then you let them compare their writings with other authentic samples. You know, simply, Nurhan, it's a matter of like providing trainees with actual training, not only theoretical. It should be practical. Theory is good, but if it doesn't include practice, it's useless. Okay? And that's why a good trainer is the one who provides the trainees with some good practice. And this includes the feedback from the trainer himself or herself, plus the authentic sample. What about like following up? Trainees shouldn't be left alone for a good time, for a long time. There should be a direct contact. And out of my experience, having a WhatsApp group is very, beneficial, through which,
Yeah, sure.
group questions are raised, general comments comments are sent to everyone. Videos might be shared that are of a great importance. So basically, this matter of following up is really of a great importance as well. The key factor is who the trainer is, what the trainer does, how much experience the trainer has, and how potential he or she is, so as to pave the way for candidates to get high grades or scores as required from the other parts that are included.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for that. And now let's move on to talk about something different, which is the criteria of correcting. So what are the criteria of correcting IELTS writing section? Of course, we are talking about academic one.
Of course. Now, let me just say that again. There is a big difference between the general IELTS and the academic one. And that's why whenever I start, a course or a session related, I try to draw the attention of my trainees to this point. Once the trainee decides on taking the academic IELTS, he or she should understand that it's deeper than the general one. And again, it necessitates much more practice than in the case of taking the general, IELTS examination. As for your question, the criteria are very clear, and I've already touched upon them when I answered the first question. Number one, if the answer doesn't match the question, quote unquote, if it is irrelevant, then of course, the answer is a zero, for example, or it doesn't require or, deserve a good mark. So basically, we always advise candidates to read the question carefully and to understand what is literally required and to stick to it. So suppose that you write a marvelous essay with amazing lexical choices, beautiful grammatical items, punctuation is fantastic, but unfortunately, it's irrelevant. Then it's useless.
Yeah.
So basically, number one, it should be relevant. It should be related to the task. Number two is related, to coherence and cohesion. Let me say that again. To get a high score in writing in academic IELTS, you have to, write something that is unified, something that is well built when it comes to lexical choices, how sentences are linked, how ideas are supported by each other, how you start with the thesis statement, then you go into details, then you summarize in the conclusion. So all in all, the examiner should feel that this answer is unified, it is well built, there are no gaps, there are no problems, it lacks nothing, it's crystal clear. Something else is related to lexical choices. I always say to my trainees, try to prove to the examiner that your repertoire is huge and you have so many lexical items and choices. Play with words. Try to show those people that you are equipped with a large number of vocabulary that enable you to express yourself like similarly when it comes to the idea, differently when it comes to the way. And that's why at the end of the day, again, this doesn't come overnight. It necessitates lots of training, lots of guidance, let's say lots of feedback as well. Grammar, sometimes I receive a funny question. Well, IELTS doesn't include the grammar. No, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It does in particular when it comes to speaking and writing. Grammar is there. How can I judge, a candidate to be a good user of English if grammar is poor. And that's why grammar is manifested in the way we speak, the way I'm now talking to you, enables you to judge me as a speaker of English, whether to be fluent or not, communicatively able to communicate with you or not. So basically grammar is included, but it is hiddenly included. Where? In writing and in speaking. And that's why I usually spend 2 to 3 hours, 2 sessions on grammar. And I try to show that grammar here is not what we do in schools. Grammar is functional. Functional. It should be taken as functional. Why? Because every function has its own meaning, as you know. And that's why if the candidate can express this ability in writing and in speaking, I assure you that the grade is going to be higher. So yes, task achievement, coherence, cohesion, lexical items, and grammatical issues. Accuracy includes all of this, by the way. When we talk about accuracy, to be accurate, it includes all things related to grammar and, vocabulary or lexical items. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. So my last question is, what are the grades scheme?
Well, the grade schemes are, related to the criteria I said. So basically, the scale is 0 to 9. The scale is 0 to 9. And to be honest with you, those who are able to achieve, let's say, 7, 7.5, 8, sometimes 8.5, are those who stick to the criteria I talked about. But to be honest with you, here in Jordan, for example, I've been training on this since 2007, 2006. It's been a long time. And to be honest with you, I deal with so many people, doctors, engineers, teachers, even laymen who want to, for example, immigrate, for example. So usually people get 6 out of 9, 6.5 out of 9, 7. But those who can really get higher scores should spend a longer time with us, should do much work, and should receive much feedback from me as well, again, and should follow this feedback. So basically, it's between 6 and 8, 7.5, usually. Even in other countries, I usually try to have a look at candidates from other countries, specifically those who share us on some Facebook pages. The same comment, all right? But it depends on how the text is written and how, the final product is.
Yeah, so Mr. Mohammad, what nationalities do you teach? Just people from Jordan, or do you have any other nationality?
Well, in Jordan, we have Jordanian trainers, including myself. We have British people, specifically in the British Council in Amman, in Jordan. We have, some American people who try to teach IELTS and TOEFL. And, it depends on the candidates. I mean, he or she might prefer to go to a specific, place.
Yeah, so what about the candidates? Are all the candidates or most of your candidates Jordanian?
Usually they are Jordanians, but, in Jordan, we have lots of Iraqis. We have Syrians. Basically, we work on these people. Jordanians who think about resuming their higher studies outside. We have Iraqis who are working on either their higher studies or on migration to Canada, Australia, other places, of course, and Syrians who work on the same place.
Yeah.
So, the market is open, but again, it depends really on who does the training and how much experience he has in this specific field. You know, IELTS is an examination of proficiency. And this is what some people don't understand. Proficiency here is the wide umbrella that covers all aspects of language. Imagine that even when it comes to speaking, everything counts. The way you can sit, body movement, eye contact, voice, fluency. So basically, it's not only a matter of sequencing words in writing or in speaking. No, it's a matter of how familiar we are with, English as a language, how, again, communicatively we are able to use it, and something else that is really important, how convincing we are. If I am convincing to you as a trainer, as an examiner, my score will be higher. But if I'm not convincing, believe me, you're going to count up to 10 before giving me a good score.
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot, Mr. Mohammad. And now let's go to our audience on Facebook. So if you have any questions to Mr. Mohammad, please, you can ask your questions here. Okay. Let's just wait a little. They may have some questions. And also, while we're waiting, let's talk about the difference between writing in academic and general training. What is the difference?
Well, basically, the difference is a huge one, actually. Again, in the academic IELTS, we have two tasks. Task number one is, again, as I said at the beginning of our talk, is either a pictorial question or a numerical question. What this means is that the candidate is expected to deal with charts, including bar charts, pie charts, tables, and these things include numbers. The candidate is expected to understand the relationship between these numbers and to come up with a text that really explains and represents this numerical information. As for the pictorial one, these are related to maps, for example. Something that is common, the candidate might be given like two pictures about a place, say a school, and how it was 20 years ago and how it is now. The candidate is expected to specify the differences and to express them, in the written form. This does not exist in the general exam. The general exam, is like, you read, a question and you write without this analysis, without this synthesis. You just read and answer. Task two is the same in both types. Like, you have to write an essay about something that is related to music, to food, traditions, education, medicine, but it is, argumentative, descriptive, analytic. It depends on the question. But the basic problem that, candidates who decide to take the academic IELTS examination is basically related to how to deal with these pictorial and the numerical information, because sometimes it needs mathematics. You have to consider like percentages, and you have to calculate, you have to to decide on which percentages are closer, which percentages, like for example, a percentage might be half of another. You have to express this. You might have,
of course, this is in task one, you mean.
These conclusions come from your own understanding of these charts. And again, and once again, this necessitates lots of training and feedback.
Yeah. Okay. So here I also have a question, which is how to get band 8 in writing or academic writing.
Well, again, if you want to get even band 8.5, and I'm not exaggerating, okay? If you write something that is related, very much related, we say in English, to the point. You don't do it zigzag way. Don't do it like here and there. Go to the point. If you support your argument with relevant, supportive ideas, if your grammar is fantastic, if you use very accurate lexical choices, and if you build a unified text, believe me, you are eligible to get, 8 out of 9 and 8.5 out of 9. And I can provide the audience with authentic examples of those who got 8
Yes,
out of
please,
9.
sure.
All right.
Oh, really?
So maybe
Yes, please, yes.
if anybody
Please
gets in touch with me later, I'm going to provide him or her.
Okay, yes, yes, please. So you can just like leave a comment on the live so that they can reach you.
Of course, I'm going to leave. Yeah. Are you talking to me now?
Yeah, yeah.
All
Yes,
right. I'm
you.
going to leave a comment, not now, after we finish. And of course, it
Okay.
would be my pleasure to get in touch with all those who need a hand.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. So,
My pleasure.
I guess these are the questions that we have. So thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed, for being with me today. It was my pleasure, really. And thanks for your like this fruitful session and all of these information about IELTS and academic IELTS. So thanks a
Well,
lot. And
the pleasure was mine, and it is mine as well. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope that I've provided the audience with useful information that can guide
yes,
them
sure.
all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks to all my audience on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Of course, you can watch this episode on Facebook. Also, you can watch it on YouTube, and even you can listen to it on Spotify. Thanks a lot, and wait for us next week with another guest. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.